Welcome back, everyone. Episode 9 of the Brad Burns Bridges podcast.
I'm Brad.
And I'm Bridges. Man, there's been a lot of stuff going on, Brad. We actually pushed back our recording to this video to watch the Texas Rangers
Yes,
win the World
sir.
Series. I mean, that is incredible. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But no further ado, Brad needed 5 of 5 from the picks. He got it. He bounces back hard from his 1 of 5, and the deficit, it's getting thin. We're back in a race. I went 3 of 5, so not a bad week, but that doesn't matter. Brad, perfect. That's the first time that's ever
Is
happened.
that the first perfect all year from
Yep,
anyone?
first perfect
Let's
ever. Shout
go.
out, Brad. That puts our totals at I'm up 26 to 23 out of 40. So 3 picks. So we're right back in it again. Well, without further ado, Brad, we've kind of been on a little we've been slacking with the guests today. Or recently, but today we've got one. We promised it last week. Um, our guest, man of many talents. I'm playing in a pickleball tournament with him this weekend, but he's a big Arkansas fan, big Texas Longhorn fan, and a pickleball enthusiast. Let's welcome Jack Switzer, the Switzmeister, into the group. Look at that picture right there. Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
All right.
Let's go, Jack. What's up, buddy? How's
Oh,
it
no.
going?
Good. How are y'all?
Oh man, we're crushing it.
Doing
We were just
good.
telling everyone, big Texas Longhorn fan, big Razorback fan, and a pickleball enthusiast. I was letting everyone know
Absolutely.
about our tournament this Saturday, so I thought it'd be a great time to bring you in with OU going down. But how about we get right into it, man? The Texas Rangers win the World Series. I mean, 5 game series. I think it was a lot closer than Game Two and Game Three kind of played out, or Game Four. But Switz, being from Texas, what you think about that?
Well, you know, funny enough, I'm actually more of an Astros fan.
Oh,
Uh,
boo!
yeah, believe it or not. I don't know. I've liked the name and yeah, but nonetheless, happy a team from Texas, especially, a team from Dallas winning. It's always good to see a Texas team winning a, world championship, whatever you want to call it. I thought it was great. I was a little worried when Adolis and Scherzer went out, but I mean, it was not a problem at all. One of the best things about baseball is you can spend money to build a team however you want.
Yeah,
And sure enough, that's what they did. And look where it got them.
yeah,
So
they got the
I
job
was I was glad to see it. Tuned in. It was cool
for
to see.
sure, for sure. Well, Brad, before I toss it over to you, being a Texas resident now, I want to say, man, you moved to Texas. The Rangers win a World Series. When are you moving to Fayetteville, Northwest Arkansas? Don's
I mean,
kicking
I
around.
was there 4 years in college, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I
Razorbacks had
know,
4 good
I
opportunities.
know, I know. But
But
what
back on
makes
the
you?
Rangers, man, they looked awesome all playoffs long. Regular season was an up and down kind of whirlwind, but when October hit, they were on fire. Seager led the way, World Series MVP. He's always been money, but glad to see him get some, recognition for kind of his, outstanding play his entire career, especially with the Rangers. But he's been, like Switzer said, one of those key additions where they went out in free agency and spent a little money. Marcus Semien too. He had been struggling early on in the playoffs, early on in the series, but came up clutch in those later games. He was the other big signing. But yeah, I think they're a little ahead of schedule. I don't think anyone really expected this year to be the team or this year to be their year, bringing it all the way home. But no one's complaining. Real fun to be here in Dallas with them winning, but yeah, I couldn't be happier for them.
Heck yeah. Man, the only thing I really want to say about the Texas Rangers is, and shout out the D backs, but both teams like 100 losses last year, and
Yeah,
no one expected either of them to be there. The D backs shocked the world. They get the opportunity to play and try and win a World Series. The Rangers are too much. I'm super pumped for the Rangers. I think they brought in the right guys. Seager might be one of the best players of all time in October at this point. Um, but without any further ado, man, Schwitz, big Longhorn fan. OU goes down.
I absolutely ate that game up.
Yeah, let's go. Well, here, real quick, do you think they are still the best team in the Big 12?
I think they're
You
the
have that
second.
head to head.
I think they're the second best team. 12.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
confident about that. No, I think Kansas just wanted to win that game more than OU did. Absolutely. I mean, you can tell football is a very emotional game. If the 11 guys aren't, all playing with that same intensity for each other, then you will lose those critical moments like the whole last 2 minutes of the OU Kansas game. And then, you go from 7-0 to 6-1. Um, I think they're the second best team. I still think Texas is the best team in the Big 12. I will stand by that all the way through the season. Um, but it was really good to see OU lose. It really was. I've been to a lot of Cotton Bowls. I've grown up, bleeding burnt orange in Oklahoma, and yeah. So I I think Oklahoma will win out the rest of their conference. I do think they're going to win in Bedlam this weekend. Um, but
Tough game.
Yeah, tough game.
it'll be
Well, I
one and
think it's
two.
absolutely disgusting that you bleed burnt orange as an
You know,
Arkansas fan.
I will say Arkansas is number one. I went to school there. I worked there. Arkansas will always be number one. Texas. So unless they're playing each other, I'm rooting for both.
Heck yeah. Brad?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Switzer. I'm definitely taking UT as the top team in the Big 12. I think we kind of talked about this in an earlier week. We were super impressed with OU's performance in the Cotton Bowl matchup, but we both felt that both those teams are going to rematch in the Big 12 championship, and I think we both agreed. It's hard to beat a team twice, especially as good as the team UT has. And so I think we both were kind of like, yeah, I still kind of like UT's chances finishing the regular season without any more blemishes and then taking care of business in that championship game. And so I agree. I mean, the quarterback injury is a little bit of concern, but Malik Murphy played well. He stepped in there and kind of took care of business against BYU. Really excited for this weekend against K State. The Wildcats always cause a little chaos in the Big 12, and so that'll be a key game, especially with these Kansas schools like last weekend, causing a lot of havoc for OU. I think the same thing could happen this weekend. I'm not going to say it will, but be on the lookout for UT. But yeah, and then just in the Big 12 in general is really interesting. We mentioned OU, Oklahoma State this weekend. Both teams 4-1 in the conference. You got K State 4-1. Iowa State out of nowhere is
Out
four
of
and
left
one.
field, man.
So it's an interesting conference. I was pretty down on it early on in the season, but it's looking to get pretty interesting later on here. But yeah, give me UT as the best team.
Heck yeah. So, I mean, we're going to be giving predictions on K State at Texas and Oklahoma State. So, big
Perfect.
week in the Big 12. Here's my thought on are they the best team? I don't know yet. I think you can't say OU is not when they've got to win over Texas so far in the year. I think OU is very talented, and they go in, they beat Texas. Um, my thing is you got to beat them, right? I think when you have a win of that caliber, OU looked shaky the past couple weeks ever since that game. They were looking and set for a letdown. When you go out and you win and there's that much emotion, it happens all the time. We see it. Here's my next question to you guys. If OU wins out undefeated, right? Obviously, it can't happen anymore. You have OU Texas, one loss Texas, no loss OU. Big 12 championship game. What happens if OU wins that? Obviously, Texas is going to jump them, but with the way that college football is panning out this year, man, and just the college football playoff aspect of this, if they both dominated and played in that close game and you're both one loss, is there a chance that two Big 12 teams can make a running in the playoff if the Pac 12 loses, if Florida State loses one? Like, is that even an option?
But they already have a loss
I know.
each.
I was saying hypothetically, without the loss. Like,
Okay. Yeah, but hypothetically, we don't know the records of these other teams that are kind of in contention at the point. So,
yeah,
like, I get what you're saying with kind of like what happened last year with Ohio State and Michigan.
yeah, that's kind of my point. Yeah, that was where I was going.
But a difference there is Ohio State didn't have to play in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah.
And so a little different, but I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I would say no, just because I think college football as a whole is pretty deep with quality teams. And so I don't think I would be very surprised if any conference honestly got more than one team in this year, just because I think every conference championship or champion is going to be worthy of, one of those four spots. And honestly, we could run into a situation where, one of the Power Five champions is considered worthy maybe another year, but just gets left out just because the lack thereof of a fifth spot.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting question, but yeah, definitely, I would lean on the side of no.
Yeah, I was just trying to like entertain the aspect of, like a one-loss Pac-12 team like Washington, dude, is really struggling, which we'll kind of talk about later. But you look at these conferences and there's no like dogs, that are like, oh, they're just going to win their conference outright. There's not that this
Right.
year. And that's kind of the interesting aspect because I feel like Florida State has the best chance to win out with the Pac-12 being so difficult and the Big Ten being so difficult. But you bring in, a couple one-loss teams, right? Um, I totally agree with you. It's just not the year. I think it's deep enough, but there's this could come down to the wire where there's some big time, wins for some programs and some big time losses that really keep people out of a huge opportunity going forward. Um, with that being said, let's kind of move into the Pac-12, right? So Oregon dominates Utah after game day there. Are they the best team in the Pac-12? They lose to Washington, and they've looked great ever since. And Washington, you can't really say the same. Switz, what do you think?
I still think Washington has got the edge on them. I think Penix is. I mean, he's the odds-on Heisman favorite at this point, right?
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah.
I think that with their defense, I mean, they're a more complete team than Oregon, and also I don't think Utah is as good as because USC is not as good as their ranking is. So, it's like a two things can be true kind of situation.
Right.
USC is
Yeah.
a powerful, Pac-12 team, and, Utah's just enough better than them. So I think Oregon, they're in the mood to take care of business because obviously they've got that one loss that's going to taint, the rest of their schedule. So, they're playing to win out. But I really don't think Utah was necessarily anything special, and by extent, USC.
Yeah.
So
Brad?
I'm going to disagree. I'm taking Oregon here. A couple reasons. Like Switzer said, Penix is the Heisman front runner. And so his, I guess, cliche Heisman moment to this point would be that Oregon game. And what, did they win by like 3? It was a close game.
Yeah,
And so,
Oregon missed a field goal at the end. Like they got all the way down there with a chance. So yes, that would
right.
agree. But
So Penix has this Heisman moment, this outstanding performance. They barely get past Oregon at home. So they're in Washington. They barely beat them there. And Oregon has looked impressive. And I'm going to disagree on Switzer on another part. I think Oregon is by far the more complete team. The physicality, I think, is a huge advantage to Oregon. I really love their defense a lot more than Washington. They don't have the same weapons outside. Washington probably has the edge there. But I think the quarterback comparison is super close. Bo Nix has been playing really well. He's definitely helping his draft stock at this point. He's playing really well, very controlled. You can tell he's had a ton of starts in his college career, looking really experienced out there. I'm taking the Ducks. I would love to see a rematch, kind of how we talked about the OU Texas rematch. I'm really praying for an Oregon Washington rematch. I think that would be awesome. But yeah, give me the Ducks. They've. I agree with Switzer. Utah probably wasn't as highly touted as kind of what the matchup or ESPN made it out to be. But I mean, they took care of business. It doesn't matter who it was. So give me the Ducks.
yep. So I've been living and dying by this phrase of you got to beat them. My SEC debate, you got to beat Georgia before we even talk about it. I just said it with OU, and I am about to say I think Oregon is the most complete team at this moment. Strictly, yeah, strictly because I think Washington, you have that big moment against Oregon, and game day's there, you win by 3 points, it goes down to the wire. And I think you're in the same situation as OU. But the way that Oregon has bounced back, and the OU Texas game, neutral site, right? Washington does this at home. I think that's a huge factor here. And I totally agree with you, Brad. I think that Oregon is an overall better team pretty much everywhere except maybe receiver and quarterback. And I think that the receiver distance is bigger than the quarterback distance for between OU and Washington. So, for the sake of making myself look like an idiot and going against everything that I've preached on this podcast, I'm going to say that I think Oregon is the most complete team in the Pac 12, and they've looked really, really good while Washington has struggled as of late. So, yikes. But yeah, for real. Let's keep it kind of going. Switch, you were talking about USC, man. We talk about them a lot on this podcast, and they barely escape against Cal. They barely escape.
It's like Swiss cheese, man.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Defense.
What?
So many holes in that. So like Swiss cheese. You know how there's a lot of holes going on there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Just, I mean, you can throw wherever, you can run whatever gap you want. And I think it really stems from the top. I think Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams are playing to get to or coaching and playing to get to the NFL. They're not coaching and playing for USC. I think a big thing, especially in college football, is teams will take on the identity of their coach. You see that with for example, like Utah, like tough and gritty team. Yeah, sure, they lost, but I mean, it would be nice if Arkansas could take, the identity of Sam Pittman.
That was the idea.
I don't know if we want that, man.
Yeah, but I mean, back to USC, like I really genuinely think like they're not. When you got those two, the most important positions in that program are not playing for the team. Like, yeah. And what was really eye-opening to me is Caleb Williams had a quote in his presser. He was talking about, okay, yeah, running through his stats, like I had one bad game in 3 years, and we lost, so what? It's like, dude, you don't say that. You say you win as a team and you lose as a team. And that is how you become a successful college team. So I think just having that, I think it just kind of bleeds out into the rest of the locker room. And yeah, if they are top 25, they're 23, 4, 25.
Yeah.
Nothing higher. Yeah.
I don't even know if I'd give them that, but I couldn't agree more with you. I think that everything is looking like, hey, Lincoln Riley, great offensive mind, great at developing QBs. He's going to go do his thing. Like he should go do his thing because he hadn't been able to put people in positions on the defensive side of the ball, pick the right guy, get the right system. And he obviously has a good relationship with Caleb Williams because that dude's following him wherever he's going. I totally agree. I think when you sit there in a press conference and it's all about you, what does that say about you as a teammate? So I'm kind of like, after hearing that, I'm like, if I'm a scout in the NFL, I'm kind of like, man, this guy doesn't seem like a very big team guy. He's kind of a me guy, which is a huge problem going forward, and especially when you're playing at that level. Because in the NFL, yeah, you have really elite teams and you have some lesser elite teams. Like, the Carolina Panthers aren't going to win a Super Bowl, but there's talented guys everywhere. So it kind of comes down to getting the right people in the locker room, and that bond goes a long way. Like we see it with the Rangers. Like you bring in a couple really good locker room guys and you go win the World Series. So I think you're 100% right, Switz. What you think, Brad?
Yeah, both of y'all made really good points. Just kind of the chaos going on in Southern California. I hadn't seen that press conference of him just kind of shrugging off the loss. Crazy, honestly. Like, this is your leader of the squad, number one draft pick, supposedly, like quarterback, like 2-year starter at the school. He's supposed to be the one taking the shots, yet here he is just kind of handing them out to. I wouldn't even be surprised if he just threw his defense under the bus, even though they've kind of been the issue, obviously. But, that's not the time or place to kind of be doing that as a leader. And, we're kind of getting off topic with the question, but yeah, I agree. Like, that is a huge concern with these NFL teams looking at him to be their franchise quarterback. It'll be interesting once we kind of figure out kind of the draft order. Who's at 1? Do they want a quarterback? Who's trying to trade up? It's all going to come into play. And yeah, you don't love hearing this coming out of Southern California. It reminds me of Kyler 2.0, honestly. I mean, that guy is all about himself. The crazy talented, loves talking about how he was undefeated, 4-year starter, Texas high school. Yeah, it's like, dude, like, it's not me, it's the team. And so, yeah, very concerning. Back to the question, I'm looking at the top 25. They got fucking Air Force in there, so yeah, sure, they're top 25, but I'm not expecting much throughout the year.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're kind of talking about locker room right now, like a leader of a team, and we saw Kirk Cousins go down, and this is a guy that's really had it hard in the media. He's been
Bucks.
performing really well, and their defense is just not helping him out in every single year. People are pointing fingers. He's taking all the blame. Kirk Cousins goes down, and you see him on the tent, like on the back of the, little deal, cheering his freaking teammates on. Like, let's go get this dub. I think he's a great quarterback, and this is the guy that I want leading my team next year if I'm the Minnesota Vikings watching that. Because that just sucks. And as far as that goes, obviously the trade deadline's passed, and they're putting all the trust on their quarterback room. So are they tanking in a way? Because they kind of got right back into playoff contention in the NFC. So with that being said, Brad, you got anything on that?
Yeah, I'll just add the Josh Dobbs trade was interesting. I would consider that a non-tanking move. Yeah, I agree. Kirk's kind of the man. Really hate seeing him go down, and what such a special guy. Watching that documentary QB. I mean, just a cool guy. I mean, kind of the literally opposite of Kyler and Caleb.
Yeah, that's
So
kind of what I was like. It's crazy. We're
literally
talking
the
about this
opposite.
right now. Yeah.
But it sucks to see him go down. But hopefully he can come back next year. Achilles, man, it's been like the year of the Achilles. It's crazy.
It's insane. So it's
Yeah, I don't think they're taking move like Brad said. I think coaches in the NFL talk a lot to each other. It's a copycat league. We always hear that all the time. I think the signing of Josh Dobbs indicates that they're looking for a game manager. Like when Josh Dobbs got expected to the trade to the Cardinals, everyone thought he was going to be disastrously bad. They were just bad. They were still playing in games. They played excellent first halves.
Beat the Cowboys.
yeah.
Yes, they did. Sure, whatever. Cowboys were 1-8 against the Cardinals for the past 9 games, and they did. Yeah. But that being said, like I think they're looking for a game manager type quarterback, someone who can maintain a steady, presence in the locker room. Especially that's important for Justin Jefferson too, because obviously you want to keep him if you're Minnesota, and I think part of that is keeping Kirk too. So if they were to tank, I think that scares off all their talent. Mainly being Kirk and Justin Jefferson. So I think they're just looking to ride the ship. NFC North probably not going to win. Wild card spot. NFC still open. Maybe they could again. But I really do think coaches around the league believe that can hold a locker room together, and that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I think Josh Dobbs played himself into an opportunity and he got it. Good for the guy. So yeah, I'm with y'all. I don't really think that they're necessarily tanking. But I mean, famous Jameis would have been dope out in Minnesota. Yeah. Hey, Brad. I don't really know if you heard about this, but Brian Ferentz out after the bowl game. What's the vibe out of Iowa, man? What does this mean for your what are you expecting with y'all's future?
Dude, it was some great news this week. Our new AD, she's kind of a baller, man. She's a no BS kind of gal, and her first kind of big move is kind of cutting the cord on good old Brian Ferentz as offensive coordinator for the Iowa Hawkeyes. So pretty crazy. I mean, we've been waiting for years, so for it to finally happen, it's kind of surreal. What's the vibe? It's honestly like kind of uncharted waters, really kind of I would honestly describe it as a little uneasy. People really don't know what's going to happen. Kirk gave a pretty interesting and almost revealing press conference, kind of about how he's not going anywhere. Um, he's sticking it out with the team. He's sticking around as long as he loves coaching, loves football, and loves the Iowa Hawkeyes. So the future is definitely unclear. It'll be interesting to see kind of what they do when it goes uh, to kind of the hiring process. But definitely excited. And yeah, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, I just want to say I don't really have anything on this, but I just want to say congratulations, man. Getting the monkey off your back. I don't want to act like we're super happy that people are losing their job, but it's so clear that
I
this is
like nepotism though.
yeah,
So
this is it's so clear this has been y'all's problem for forever. So let's see if they can get it right.
yes.
Switch, you got anything on this before we move to the
Well,
hogs?
the first thing, I mean, being a fired college football coach is one of the best jobs you could have in the U.S. Um,
That's true.
so, you know, happy for the guy. Obviously, I don't follow Iowa football too closely. I mostly laugh at them. No offense, Brady. Credit due. Something interesting though. Every single Big Ten West team is averaging below 25 points per game. I don't know if y'all saw every single one right now. Wisconsin is that now. Iowa is the lowest at 19.5, but Wisconsin is the highest at 24.8. So
Yeah.
if any of the other OCs were under that contract stipulation, they would also be gone too at this point. Granted, they didn't have the resume that Brian Ferentz had, but you know, it was just something interesting I thought of the whole situation.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Interesting. Good
Um,
stat.
yeah, great stat. Dude came prepared. That's what we like to see. Hey, moving into the Razorbacks, guys, we have a game. We're our backs against the wall. You got to win out. I'm just looking for some bright spots for the rest of the year. Kenny Guiton is calling plays for the Hogs this weekend. He has never done it in his college coaching career. The word out of Fayetteville is that the kids are loving playing for him. Basically, what do y'all expect? What does he have to do to earn the job, Switz?
Well, I mean, I feel like the podcast has been locker room. You know, the guys in the locker room, you know, are clinging to him. That's the first good sign. Um, I was listening to Sam Pittman's presser on it, and I think so. He was basically saying that they're going to try and reduce the volume, you know, focus on doing a small number of things well, as opposed to a lot of things not well, which has been the case, you know, ranking 122nd in total offensive yards. So I think we're going to see less, you know, it's going to be a more simplified playbook. It's just going to be like, all right, how can we get yards on this play in the simplest way possible? Because that's what you need to do when you've cleared house on the OC. Get back to the basics. Focus on, you know, traditional football concepts that have been proven for decades on how to get. So I don't think it's going to be anything flashy, but I think, you know, the guys are going to come out excited. It's backs against the wall, like you said. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, what do you think he's got to do to like get the job? Because Pittman did come out and say, you know, he's got a chance to earn this. So
I think getting to honestly get if he gets to 5 wins, yeah,
yeah,
we win 2 more games.
yeah, 5 wins and the offense goes from scoring 18 points a game or whatever it is to, 32. That'd be pretty
I
nuts.
think 18 points a game and going from so we're currently at like I think a little over 300 yards a game. We can get to like 375,
400.
375, 400. I
Yeah.
think I think he gets it.
Well, I liked it. Brad, 10 minutes left, by the way, guys.
Okay, yeah. I'm not too sure, what it'll take. I mean, it's always kind of a weird kind of situation when an interim coach comes in. Um, it's always kind of there's different expectations everywhere, right? I mean, we saw Jeff Saturday come in last year for the Colts and almost pull off getting that job to where he was in no right of deserving being the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And then again, you have these other guys who come in, like Dan Campbell. At his time, was he the interim at Miami or was it the Saints? I can't remember, but did a hell of a job. It wasn't even given an opportunity to even like interview or something crazy. And so expectations are always different when you kind of have these situations. Honestly, like I'm just looking kind of what Switzer pointed out is just better execution on offense. It doesn't need to be this crazy, explosive, confusing motion offense. Just head down, get some yards, limit the penalties, and just move the chains. Like, just execute. Like, that's kind of honestly been the issue all year. And I kind of love that quote from Sam. Yeah, they haven't been doing anything right. Just get a few things right, and it'll be 100 times better. So, yeah, definitely interested. I mean, I don't really know too much about Kenny Guiton at all. I don't even know what position he was at before being our new OC.
Yeah.
But
he was wide receiver coach, and he was a quarterback at Ohio State.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we can win 5 games, I'll agree with Switzer. Like, sure, why not? I think this offseason, though, is going to be pretty turbulent. So it could be that may not be enough. So it's hard to tell.
So I'm just going to give a super quick point. I think y'all covered it very well. I think you simplify, you find what's working, you do that. You get to 5 wins. I think Sam Pittman has been a guy in the past that has stick to his guys, and it has worked for him. And I think that if you come out, offense is greatly improved. You have people wanting to play for him. Transfer portal is not an issue. I think, what the hell? Give him the job, you know? Obviously, the guys want to play for him. That's a huge point that we've obviously seen that has been a huge issue for us this year. So, what the hell? Why not? Moving into the last topic, Arkansas plays Purdue in a scrimmage, and they end up winning in overtime. As an Arkansas fan, can I just say it was much needed seeing some positive sporting on the male side, because this football season has been extremely tough to watch. Shout out Eric Musselman. All the transfers look good. My biggest takeaway from this game, Chandler Lawson, a transfer from Memphis that was kind of late into the transfer portal, one of the last guys that we pick up. Everyone's like, who the hell is this? You know, he averages like 3 points at Memphis. So Eric Musselman knows what he's doing, man. That guy came in, was a glue guy, knocked down some threes, rebounds, plays defense on Edey. Can't be higher on him. I think the entire team plays great. Super excited for this year. Season starts Monday. What y'all have anything on that?
Spencer?
I mean, honestly, you know, I only looked at the box score, so I'm not gonna, sit here and pretend that I knew what was going on in the game. Obviously, we won, great, but my biggest takeaway is we were able to sell out an exhibition match. Sure, you can attribute some of that to the football season we're having, whatever. I think that just speaks to the Eric Musselman's ability to just keep on building and keep on getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And at some point, we got to get to that Final Four, and I think this year. So yeah, fire off hot take. Season hadn't even started yet. I don't care.
There you
go. Seeing that,
we got 5 minutes. Brad, you got anything on this before we go?
Yeah, I'll be quick. Yep. Like Switzer said, sellout expedition game, but even better, it was a game for charity that raised charity for Central Arkansas tornado relief, which was super cool. A good friend of the podcast, Austin Basiglia, is a firefighter in Little Rock. Very scary situation there. So love raising money for that. And then obviously we got the W. So what a weekend for the hog ball.
What a day for the hog ball. We're looking forward to Monday night. Switch real quick, man. The best we've ever done on here with guest picks is 4 out of 5. Let's beat that today. Starting off, Kansas State at Texas, a game that we've talked about today. Texas is -4.5 at home, I might add. I'll let you take it because Texas is in it.
Kansas State doesn't cover. Texas, all the way. Done.
-4.5. Hell yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think this is a different Texas team that other than the one that I've seen since Colt McCoy years. So, yeah, normally if this was any like within the past years, I would absolutely say Kansas State at least beats or covers. But I do think Texas takes care of business at home.
Heck yeah, Brad.
I agree. UT, I'll keep it short. I like K-State, but I like Texas more. So UT.
Yep, I'm going UT -4.5 as well. Next game, A&M at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is -3 here. It seems a little trappy here. Um, man, I just hate both of these teams, so it's kind of hard to pick. But I'm gonna ride the Rebs. Uh, they only have one loss. I'm gonna go ride the Rebs at home -3. Switz.
I think A&M gets it. It's going to be a weird game, but I think I'm taking A&M.
Nice, Brad.
This is a weird game. Both coaches are just psychos, and I guess the least psychotic coach, in my opinion, is Kiffin. So give me the Rebs.
Damn. Missouri at Georgia. This is a game, Brad. I'm letting you take this one first because you've said that you wanted to see this game and you think it's going to be a good one. Missouri at Georgia. UGA -16. What you think, Brad?
16, man.
It's a
I don't
lot.
think they're gonna win. I don't think they're gonna win, but I've really been loving what I've been seeing out of Columbia, Missouri, and the Mizzou Tigers. Um, I think they keep it close. Give me Mizzou plus
Dang it.
16.
Dude, we're in the same wavelength, and I cannot. Here's the deal. I think Georgia has looked rough at times this year, but dude, they've played big competition the last couple weeks that have been steps up from what they've been playing, and they absolutely obliterate. I do think 16 is too much. I'm going Missouri +16. So it's
I'm going Georgia. I think it'll game in the first half, then Georgia's going to run them out the house. Also, it's at 2:30. Any daytime games in Athens are absolutely crazy. So I think Georgia beats them.
hell yeah.
Good call.
Hey, Bedlam, OU, Oklahoma State. OU's -6. Switz. You got like 2 minutes, so
All right.
you got like 2 minutes. So heads up.
I think Oklahoma State. Well, no, I'm taking OU all the way. I think they get them by touchdown.
Brad.
Yeah.
Coming off a loss, OU.
Damn, dude. Give me the freaking. Give me Oklahoma State just for the sake of me and Brad being opposite. I'm gonna go OSU +6. Let's make it a little interesting. LSU at Alabama, college game day. This one is gonna be a good one. LSU or Alabama is -3 at home. Give me the Tide. I think that their defense is good enough to limit the offense of LSU. So give me the Tide -3. Switz.
I'm with you on that. I think Alabama is about to run circles around LSU. That defense is not good enough to stand up to what Alabama has become post Texas. So absolutely, Tide -3.
Brad.
Roll Tide.
Damn. Well,
That's easy. That's an easy one.
yeah,
-3.
in my opinion, it's easy. I really think that.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, for the sake of having parity, but I was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm
No,
not gonna
hey,
give up. I'm not gonna give up layups.
Yeah, I did. I do think Oklahoma State's look decent, so we got a chance. Hey, Switz, any final words before we wrap this thing up? Super quick.
No.
Super quick though.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Go Hogs, hook 'em horns. Yeah, hope to be back on soon.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Switz,
Yeah.
Brad, thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Look forward to the pickleball tournament, Switch. We're going to kick some ass. As always, guys, like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back next week. See y'all.